start recording right now.
Recording
And
has been started.
okay.
But if I saw two statuses from people
Yeah, go ahead.
uh, about when I was posting stuff about Monsanto and
Mm-hmm.
ABBA stuff. Okay, we look like we're okay.
Yes.
Uh, I thought it was about me. My gut told me it was about me when they said, "Oh, some I need to delete some people because some people just post the stupidest crap." I guess signing petitions against non-GMOs is crap.
Well, they can go chew on some Nerf chicken and not
Yeah,
listen to Swedish
and
pop
have
music. I don't
like
know why that would bother them,
I
honestly.
know.
I don't know why that would vex them so much that they have to you'd have to make a statement to announce their annoyance and then take the physical time to delete you as a friend.
Which was fine because I didn't talk to the person anyway.
It's obnoxious though, I just think.
But the other person was a sort of close friend who I sort of pushed to the wayside because I'm done with that part of not part that part of my life, but
Waving
I'm
hi
done.
to Ed and Vicky. They're watching in a restaurant.
Hey.
Hey, we're remote. Take us anywhere. There's an app on Ustream. You can watch it on your smartphones, which everyone should have at this
Yes.
point. I know I was late to the game, but I got mine in December for a gift. That was very nice. So you can catch us and bring us anywhere. I'm sorry I
It's
interrupted
okay.
you.
No, we
More
have to
promotion.
plug.
We
More
have to keep. I
promotion.
know we've been told we don't plug enough, so we have to be a little more shameless, which shouldn't
And
be
we'll
hard
plug
for
our
us.
number in a second.
Exactly.
But the second one was about they don't know why they keep some friends, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And I'm doing the quotes on the Ustream.
Yeah, the quotes on the Ustream.
Why they keep so many people when they just clog up their time news feed with stuff they're not interested in. Well, first of all, we've always established on the show that you can control your news feed and you could list people. Like someone watched the rerun of the Case of the Fake People and
Yes.
kind of laughed that I have Gotham all in one, like all separated in lists, and I can go weeks without knowing what's going on in their lives
Your
on
volleyball
Facebook.
pals.
Yeah. And he put something to make fun of people who do hashtags. So of course now if you don't like hashtags, then you shouldn't read my statuses on Facebook because I'm the hashtag him to death until he deletes me. Yeah.
That's
until
what
he
we're gonna
finally
do.
walks his talk and deletes me.
Yes.
Instead of living a non-ironic life. If we sound like we're complaining a lot, we're doing a portion of the show of the can you see that? The suckiest thing that ever sucked about this week, just as a sounding board and how to take it to the next level so it doesn't suck for the rest of your week.
Exactly. Back when the show, if some of you old school listeners remember Soul Behind the Snark, we kind of did something kind of similar, which would be Celebrity Snark, Celebrity Soul, where we took like a positive or a negative thing that someone famous did and we kind of expounded on it. So then we wanted to take this as a little moment. You know, I know everyone has their like positive message of affirmation thing, but we wanted to do our version and do like what's our little negative thing and then to just like talk about it, get it out of there.
Yeah, because
and release it.
This came about with two things. It was always in the back of our mind, but two things affirmed it this week. I was listening to Doreen Virtue, a rerun on Hay House Radio, and one of her callers was saying something, and she was trying to make sense of it, like many of us do, trying to make sense of it through whatever, the law of attraction or what the universe wants her to do. And Doreen said the wisest thing. She goes, that's the most intellectual solution to an emotional problem. She's like, you have to deal with the emotion. And today on the talk, they reran they reran the Valerie Harper interview that was interrupted by all Pope, who wants to be the next Pope coverage. And
no comment on that.
Exactly. We're going to digress on that.
Yeah, well, and we won't get more people to follow us. Go ahead.
But she said the greatest thing she learned when she learned she had a terminal brain cancer. Which in the spiritual sense, nothing's ever terminal, but who wants that's a the intellectual solution to an emotional problem. That's real cute to say
when you're sitting there terrified.
Yeah. So she said the best thing she's learning and she's learned is that have the emotion, let it flood in and let it flood out of you, then return to the now.
Ride
and what
the wave.
In the now? Yeah, ride the wave.
That's what I was saying today. Ride the wave.
Yeah, and then return to the now and what makes you happy in the now, and that remember that the only moment you have is the now. So she can't think about what it's going to be like to die, or she says there's the pain associated that it's going to cause her family and herself. But what good does that do her in the moment when she knows the moments are fleeting? Does she want to be miserable
Right, because you can
and
choose.
sad, or does she want to embrace her family? And she's like, or do I want to like enjoy the fact that I'm on the talk again with you, blah 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 blah
And
blah.
that,
So
she or we are here right now doing what we want to do, being happy with our best friend,
yes,
going somewhere, driving down the road, listening to your favorite song, whatever.
yes,
And enjoy that and be in there. So if we want to start real quick, if we want to
yes.
do you want to do the sucky things now or
Yes, do
after?
your suck.
Okay.
What
Do we
dear? Well, this is also, remember, this is the evolution of Allison and Alex.
Yes.
So this is our new title, our new spirit, our new
Let's
voice.
see. We'll
It
do
thanks
an
to
interpretive dance later.
yes, thanks to our guest last week, Charlie the matchmaker, for telling me
He was
Sunday.
excellent.
For telling me Sunday when we met for drinks in the city. Well, actually, we went to Bear Burger. Ha!
Yeah.
Shout out to Bear Burger.
All
They
right.
know my face now. I'm there so often. He said, "You are really good at evolving." And I said to him, "That's what the show is
Yeah,
about."
exactly. Yeah.
So we finally think we found our voice and our brand. Since
Yeah.
Crystal Andrus is going to be interviewed eventually on Authentic You, I did a whole class with her about being your brand. So anyway, suckiest thing that ever sucked, Allison, Lady Hope,
All right,
whatever we're
so
going to call ourselves eventually. Oh my gosh!
We'll chat between ourselves, but also we're inviting anyone to call up right now to expound their little
We're your
crappy
sounding
moment.
board.
Yeah, exactly. Here we go. Because we're like this for all our friends, but now you get an official few minutes out of this half hour to say it and then let it
An
go.
hour? Aren't we in an hour today?
We are?
I think so.
Okay, I didn't know. All right. All right, cool. So an hour. You're not paying attention. And maybe that's my thing. But anyway, if you want to call up 877-296-0345. My sucky part of the week is kind of like a general thing and not like one specific moment. And I guess I can go back to what just happened in a second, as I feel very clueless and tired and out of it.
Okay.
And I don't know.
Yeah.
I know I've been very busy, and there's been some working on the weekends, so there's been no relaxing, doing nothing on the weekends, and there's another working on the weekend situation coming up that I'm stressed about. And usually I'm a very big fan of Saturdays, and now I'm just kind of stressed because it's going to be a long, physically kind of tiring day for me. And I don't know if I should blame our little daylight savings, I've just sucked 1 hour of your life away situation. If I could blame that, maybe a little bit. If I could also blame the fact that I'm not sleeping well, maybe a little bit of that. Or going to bed late because I come home and I do too much and I'm not prioritizing. But I just feel very out of it, very tired. I know it's not one specific. There's been some incidences that other people have had this week that have been a lot suckier and scarier than my little, wow, I'm tired and out of it. But that's what I would
But
go
we're
to.
talking about what's going on inside of you.
Yeah.
So which
inside
is
of
very
me,
valid. And someone who usually listens to the show
Yes?
keeps texting me, Dean.
Hi, Dean.
Hi, Dean.
You're on the
We're
air
on- you're on-
with the sound of the Urban Gent's
Yes.
text message. What's that noise on the iPhone?
Drama.
Stress? Okay.
Stress.
That's what it sounds like to me. It's like I'm like, "Ugh." Yeah. So what's going inside of me? We're going to
Could be
analyze
anything.
this?
I mean, if you want to do the universal astrological solution, the planets are all akimbo.
Right.
With Mercury in retrograde and all that stuff. But sometimes that's not the answer you want to hear.
Sometimes it's not the answer I
Well,
want to hear.
what
'Cause
are
I'd
you
like to be
thinking, Information
specific.
Society? I want to know what you're thinking.
You want to know what's on my mind?
Mm-hmm. Tell me what is on your mind.
What a great idea to...
Pivot
what am
it,
I thinking?
Yeah, pivot it. Like they said, remember in class when we were doing Jerry, the Abraham thing, and there's that whole pivoting thing. Like what in the moment
What is-
and there's the whole scale.
Meaning...
Like if you were like
stop and kind of look back
Yeah,
as
what-
to
yeah.
why you're feeling like
well,
you're
not
feeling.
why you're feeling, but you're feeling this in the moment, and what would raise you to that next level. But why are you? Why
am I
Why
out
is
of
it
it
so
and
stressed
tired?
and tired? What? Because I know you think a lot when you're trying to sleep, and when you're restless,
I'm thinking
you have
too
too much in your mind. Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
There's some situations happening at the work and other places where maybe there's just a ton on my mind like that. And
Mm-hmm.
I also feel in general, I'm not there's a lot that I feel like I haven't started yet, and I'm not. Yeah, there's like a lot of things in my life that I feel like I told myself by this time I would have been like full into doing it. Even haven't been at the gym that frequent. I don't know if that's part of it too.
That's a whole show today.
Yeah, that's like part of the show. So there's like a 2 weeks of not going to the gym on a regular basis because of other things, and then there's some work stuff, and then there's maybe that's mostly it, and then the busyness.
Yeah.
And I feel like that I definitely feel that the physical activity, now I'm thinking about it, would definitely be the thing that makes me feel a little restless, because I know when I was working out more frequently, I had better sleep and better like energy levels and stuff. That could be it. And I'm, and then I'm me thinking about the future all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes not so much the now, but constantly looking into giant pictures, which is something I've done, I guess, my whole life. And I don't know if you could go back to the fact that I was kind of a daydreamer. I would just fantasize about stuff, and I still do. But I also can get caught up in me being worried and just thinking too much in the future. There's like a place I was supposed to be now in a certain way, and that's definitely physical and weight-wise, and that's the crux of this show. And I think I'm just like, oh my God, it's almost April and I didn't start. Oh my God, I should have been by now doing this, and this. And then I weighed myself this week and I gained a pound from where I last weighed myself, which was probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, or maybe last month. It was the last time I was on the scale. And then I just was curious because I was feeling kind of off, and I went to it in the morning and I saw it went up 1. But it's 1, but you don't want to go up any. So then you get like frustrated and you're like, oh no, it's going to start if I don't. Yeah, I'm like, it's going to keep going if I don't do something now. And then I get so stressed, which doesn't help the weight or the brain at all. Because then you're building like turmoil in your head, and that's not going to help you. So I think I'm just not thinking clear-headed, and then not sleeping, and then thinking too much in a messy head, not a clear head, and all that stuff. And suggestions people would have for me, maybe meditate or calm down. Everyone so easily says calm down, it's a little tough.
Or say
one thing at a time.
I read that. There's a book called by Hay House.
Is it called Fracket?
No, it's called actually.
It would be funny if somebody
the way you're supposed to say it.
Yeah, right. The way that we're a family show,
Yeah.
But we won't do anything rude and say bad words. I got you. Yeah.
So it goes down. It comes down to that thing where it's.
There's even like a there's like and this is again I'm pulling into the show more. There's like to be honest, there's like this selfish part of me because I'm having like a birthday party with a bunch of friends at the end of April. And there's like a part of me that wanted to look really, really good at the party and like buy a new dress. And then I don't feel like I look good enough, and I'm like stressed. And I feel like certain people will look at me and be like, she still looks like fat piece of crap, because I know how some people think, and they'll be happy that I don't look good because I know how some people are and all that crap. And then I get caught up in it, and I'm like, I wanted to be beautiful at the party, and I don't feel like I even should buy a new dress because I'm still the same size I was last year, and I didn't lose any more weight. And then so that's making me like being like nuts girl in my brain.
Well, that also goes with our other segment about the hashtag body brutality. So you're being
I'm
really
dovetailing into all our segments,
and you're being
in my crazy
brutal.
head.
Yeah, you're being really brutal on yourself.
Yes.
As we
That's me
get
being
there.
Totally honest.
Yeah, as we both do.
Yeah.
Hence why we ended up having
the shows
about our surgeries. So why don't we get back to the segment, and then we can go now that we have a teaser.
That is
what's
a teaser.
Yeah,
for
a good teaser.
Part.
Fate blackout.
Yeah, I meant to do that. I'm not nuts. Go ahead, Alex.
My suckiest thing that ever sucked this week, besides having my birthday on Saturday, and then someone kind of tapping my mom's car lovingly and leaving apparently it's thousands of dollars of damage on it, but it looks just like a scratch and a dent.
You just had a little hit and run on one of our more major dangerous highways.
Thank you, Route 4.
In North Jersey. I know it's on some list of being like crappy road USA number whatever.
But that But, it just has to work itself out because the guy told me to go to the insurance company to get it paid for because he's like, you don't want to pay for it out of pocket. Then it just freaked my mom out a little. And she comes from a place of lack and worry, which
Yeah.
upsets me because I try my best to not come from that
I
place
know
and
you.
say that
Yeah.
it will work itself out. I actually that morning said to the universe, please find a solution that's affordable and will resolve this. And so when the guy told me go to Progressive blah blah blah, that's why I took it to heart and I put into motion and I did the earthwork, as Doreen Virtue would say, to get it done. Is just my mom was a little resistant because she feared that the insurance would go up, but that didn't
Right.
suck the most. What's sucking right now
Yes.
is
There's a second. There's the caveat.
is my Gotham crush, the guy I have a crush on, or I'm actually giving a chance
Does
to.
he watch the show?
I don't know, but
Well,
if he
hi
does, who
if you
cares?
do.
Well, hello if you do.
Hey, we got to be honest and real. So this is what it is.
We have to be our authentic selves. That's why
Yes.
we're on here.
Yep.
And we're having a little snag getting to our second alone time hangout. I wouldn't quantify it as a date. We're getting to know each other,
Right.
I think.
That's how it
and
starts.
He quantifies it as alone time, so that's what I'll call it.
And I see that as a positive, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, the alone time. Like the fact that he says that is specifically him being like, I want to be with just you. This is special for us. So I think that's cool.
So we're having trouble getting to the second part because he's busy, and then the other thing. So I'm starting to get the flood of doubts about what's going to happen and how it's going to happen and if I should even be spending time again and all the stuff we talked about
Yes.
with Charlie last
Yes,
week.
exactly.
And I've spoken with Susan, who did my human design. And that's where I am with that.
Right.
I know it's going to be okay because
Well, I did
I
say,
did one
yeah.
thing. I did that one thing. Like that's what I always tell people, and I'll tell you to do that one thing that will maybe get you to feel better, even a little bit. And I did that one thing. I texted him and said, "Well, what about me doing the tournament?" It's not phrased like this, but what
Okay.
about me doing the tournament next week makes you think that we won't have time to see each other? And he said, "Well, I thought you'd be busy." And I go, "Have I shown you anything that?"
You've made
that
time. Like
I've
as
made
far as
time,
I
but
know.
I've also have I shown you that my Gotham social life is the most important thing on the planet these days? I've actually shown people the opposite.
Right.
That's why people are making fun of my hashtags,
And that's why
people are
coming
saying
up to you and asking you what's wrong,
and texting me saying I'm acting weird
acting weird.
because I don't fit into their little box anymore.
You're acting weird by not being 24/7 in the group,
Yes.
walking as a collective whole and not as individuals. I mean, and that's funny, but that's also how the group mentality is. If you're with like a close band of people, they kind of get a little nuts because then they like the security of the group is threatened if one of the members. You know, that's some sociology kind of stuff going there.
Yes.
Exactly.
And I don't know. We started going into your body brutality stuff. I'm gladly right now.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking it has anything to do with my physical appearance. So that's how I'm putting end hashtag body brutality is
Right.
that even with the delay with getting to the next point or whatever is going to happen with this other guy, I'm not blaming the way I look or
Good.
I'm not feeling that it has anything to do with my physical appearance. Because I actually went last night at the game, I had two guys come up to me and say, "You're really looking really great right now."
That's awesome.
So I just have to ride
really
that wave
cool.
and keep that in my head.
Yeah, and you have to, and that's the other thing with me, I guess, or that's the truth is if somebody's telling you that and they're a sincere, honest person that like cares also, you should believe them and not look at them like they have 12 heads and be crazy.
Learn to
That's my issue right now is, I have a very like caring, complimentary boyfriend, but there's still so much in me that's like damaged or whatever. He's like, "What? I'm telling." I go, "No, I know you're being honest. Like I know he's not lying because he's not like a BS kind of dude. He's like real with it." But it's I guess because it's just so deep in there. it's like pulling out that monster to get rid of it.
Yeah, because I'm trying to, and we'll work on this together. But when I was thinking about this whole doing mirror, mirror tonight, and actually coming up front about the realities of our weight loss surgeries, I actually started to write things down associated with our ending body brutality. And and I know Michelle's doing a book about words and verbiage and stuff, and we even
Right.
did a show, I think it was during Soul Behind the Snark,
Yes, it was
about the words you choose.
Yeah.
So why don't you start rephrasing it not as damaged, but as
Right, because
challenge? It's a challenge.
True, because if you say damage or
You think
bad,
it's scarred and
then you're saying part of you is bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then you're focusing on the negative.
If you could get yourself to that one next level, say this is a challenge, and challenges you can rise above. Challenges,
Yeah, exactly.
You know how to. If you phrase it like that, you know how to not defeat,
Yeah.
but you know how to rise to a challenge.
That's the truth.
So you know how to rise to a challenge. So if you phrase it like that, you can put yourself in your own power and say that I can get over this challenge. I can rise
Right.
above this challenge. So, and that's our lesson for the day. No, that's our many
All right,
lessons
bye.
to come.
No,
Bye.
you have,
Bye.
everyone has homework now.
Everyone has homework now.
Yeah, and that
So.
would be mine. I mean, I don't know if you wanted to go into, you know, how you thought, you know, when you decided to get some lipo done, like what brought you to that decision, you know, where were you at the place where you're like, you know what, this is what I'm going to try. And I know it's like both of us, and I know we've talked about this before in other shows, how both surgeries, or I guess any surgery like that, can be considered controversial in a way. And I know for me, I remember when I decided 2 years ago, and I knew I wasn't gonna not do it because of what certain people would say, but I knew there'd be some resistance, even with like friends. They do care. I know my friends care and support, but I knew some would be like, "Are you sure?" And that's weird. And then there's the people that are always like, "That's cheating."
Oh yeah.
And but whatever
you.
you decide, exactly whatever you decide, however you want to go, is your way. You know, no one else has the right to tell you that's not the right way to go.
Because you know you couldn't have asked me anything because I'm so pro share. Do what you need to do. Get the shots. Go under the night. Yeah. I was like, do what you need to do. I know because I know. I think beyond that, your biggest fear was actually going under the knife, like mine was.
I have a total, and it's a little less now because my experience honestly was great. Good Samaritan Hospital and stuff for New York. Got all whatever, shameless plug, but from like start to finish, and from every person I dealt with, from just whatever nurse to even like, you know, the old nun who was nice and checked up on me. Obviously my doctor, everyone else, really positive, really caring. And I had a terrifying, paralyzing fear of hospitals since little. And I never had an issue in one. I never had like a scary surgery little kid thing. But it was something I was always afraid of. I was always afraid of surgery. I always had the crazy fear of all that like surgery horror nightmares.
Yeah,
like
being awake in the middle of it.
And you can't tell them, but you feel it like, or just not waking up at all.
Yeah.
You know, so that was always going through my head when surgery was mentioned to me a few years before this from different doctors. And I was like, no, I could do it on my own. And I just couldn't get there on my own. And when I finally got to the point where I felt fed up and I felt nervous for my health, honestly, always part of it with me is going to be a physical thing. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit here and be so high and mighty and be like, I only wanted to be healthy.
Yeah, no. Hell no.
Okay, I'm going to be honest. I just wanted to look a certain way, or the way maybe I used to look back when I was, I don't know, 17. I don't know if I'll get there, but I'm, you know, saying that kind of thing. So that entered into it too. And then a lot of the health, because you're still kind of young, and then there's a list of scary things that could potentially happen. So with my very supportive parents, I found a very good doctor, and that whole experience, getting over the fear of just being cut into, which is like terrifying for me, and then what's going to change after, my social life, my friends, whatever, me. The recovery, which my recovery was great, just a week. I bounced back pretty quick from a lot of stuff. I was back to work. The not really eating solid foods for a month was tough. That's not my favorite. But, that was part of the whole system, and I followed it through, and it helped me, whatever. So now, again, and I know I've said this on the show before, 2 years out, I'm not, and I know clinically, if Dr. So-and-so would have seen me still now, he'd be like, well, you're not where I want you, and he'd have out the chart, and, there'd be the paper with all the stuff. And I know that too, but I've hit some bumps in the road. This is different for everyone. Maybe it's the kind of thing where I need to see a support group or see a bunch of different people that have had the band done as well, so I could see their progress, see what maybe frustrations they have had, because sometimes I do feel very alone with it, or I see other people that have had it and they're like uber successful, and it was like, it took me 5 minutes and it all came off, and I was like, not me, and there's definitely some things I could do different, but I guess I'm at the point where I'm trying to decide what the next move is. Do I go see kindly Dr. So-and-so and get another adjustment?
Yeah, we'll tell people more about the realities of getting it adjusted, because Al Roker explained that with him, it was.
He has a band, or did he get?
He got the band.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. I thought
I think it was the band. No, I think it was the band.
I should write him an email or something and ask him.
I think it was, and he. Or maybe it was bypass. But he talked about how, he soiled himself at inelegant times. Especially
that hasn't happened yet, I didn't know that happened.
Yeah. So that's why I wanted to do this show about the realities.
The reality is, and again, everything I say is my experience. It happened to me, and being honest. But I would never take away any of it. Even when some of my friends and people that I'm with have seen a less than satisfactory reaction to something, and they get upset because they're like, it looks like it's hurting you, and I was like, look, this is just part of my reality. So there've been a couple adjustments, because what it is, it's like a little balloony thing around a holder at the top of your stomach that closes and opens with a port with fluid put in it, so you can make bigger or smaller for more or less food.
It constricts the top of your stomach, so you'll feel fuller faster.
Fuller faster, won't eat as much. That's the two things that it provides. Okay, so there are times when I eat too fast, or I eat too much, or I eat the wrong thing. There's a couple of foods that are like triggery things, and it's like maybe a lot of breads, or a big sandwich, or big chewy things. Tough steaks, not so good. There's some vegetables that are tough. No broccoli stems, they're killers. And it gets stuck. That hurts, and you unfortunately have to go to the bathroom and kind of cough it up in a way. Almost like I kind of explain it like a hairball.
And I'm like, okay.
And it's not like a full-on crazy barf thing.
Like, it's not a full-on bulimia.
Yeah, it's not.
Bulimic or episode like we used to do.
Oh, the good old days.
We're
so young and wacky. Yeah. And, or like when you're drunk and that kind of thing. No, it's not like that.
Okay.
But it is painful when food gets stuck, because it feels like there's a knife in you jabbing. And there's no way around it. It has to come up because it can't fit down.
Okay.
That's a side effect. That's part of it. That's something that the doctors who give you the band don't want. Yeah, my one friend, she was actually with me in the bathroom I was on the cheesy date, not with the boyfriend that I'm dating, but with his friend at the time that it happened to. Bridget and I were in a, here's a great example of things you can't do with the lap band. You can't go to Brazilian barbecue restaurants. We were at a Brazilian barbecue restaurant. No, because it's wasted. Because there's 1,000 million things to eat, and you can't eat it all, and once you start, you're going to stop soon, and it's over. And if you even try to eat more, you'll get sick. And that's what happened at the restaurant. And I was like, I go to the bathroom, and Bridget was like, I'll come with you. And I was like, I don't want to upset you, Bridget, but I got to do something. And I went into the stall, and I explained to her what was happening. I'm like, don't be afraid. I'm not, I have a disorder.
We're not having a sweet valley high.
No, I'm not going to ask you to follow your fingernail like in Heather's. I'm I just have a piece of, I guess it was one of the many delicious meats that they brought to the table.
Rodizio.
Yeah, and, and that's the thing that happens. You have to remember I just always have to remember that it's kind of there. So like friends have seen it, and I know it's kind of nerve wracking for them because it does look like I get this look, I was told, of look of fear in my eyes. Like
Okay.
once I start to feel it getting stuck, and sometimes I'll hiccup, and the hiccup will be the warning,
Ooh, uh-huh.
like it's about to happen, and I'll be
Mm-hmm,
like,
mm-hmm.
and I'm like, and I'll wait, and I'll happen again. I was like, I'll be right back. And I'll like leave the table. And the only thing that sucks is if it's at a party or a dinner party,
Yeah.
because it is kind of embarrassing. I think everyone that knows me knows that's what might happen, but it doesn't happen for me at a alarming degree. Just every once in a while, I'll get caught up, whatever. And I had a lot of adjustments. I've had a couple, but the last one I had, which has kind of put me off visiting my doctor, was the only time where an adjustment caused an issue, and I had a whole week of not really being able to eat. It was so tight that when I'd lie down, I felt my stomach acid
Ooh,
rise in my chest.
uh-huh.
I could hear it right here.
Ooh,
When I would
ouch.
lay down, I couldn't sleep because it was like gurgling.
Uh-huh.
And I could only drink, I was drinking these clear protein shakes and was taking me hours to get it down. I lost 10 pounds, but 10 pounds in a week from not eating. That's not how you're
That's
supposed to lose weight. So I had to go back to him and say, please take some out because I cannot live like this, and I know that's not what you want for me. And so I haven't seen him since because I've almost had a little bit of fear of like, I want to, maybe do I go back and get it adjusted again, but I can't have another week like that. I
Mm-hmm.
left work early, I couldn't sleep, I was dizzy, I was out of it. I mean, no nutrients were coming in. That's the thing. I couldn't, it was just taking so long. Like every time I drink, I could hear it and feel it go down. Again, I'm not saying this to put anyone off from a lap band, and honestly, if anybody's out there thinking, you can email, private message our site on
Yeah.
Facebook, and I'd be
Find
happy
us
to
on,
answer.
yeah.
I'm a fit. I do support it, and I'm very happy I have it right now. But the thing is, you're still a person living your life, so you have to work with it. And now I need to work with it better 2 years after to lose the rest of the weight. I've already lost some, but there's still a bunch more. And again, like my go to the body brutality thing, I compare and contrast myself with people all the time, which is
Mm-hmm.
really unhealthy. I know it's wrong to do. I don't suggest anyone do it, but I know other people that have had different surgeries, this one or others, and they're like all perfect and good, and I'm still working at it, and I get very frustrated. That's my thing. Is right now I'm kind of not frustrated with the band, but just frustrated with me in the situation, and I'm trying to work at it. And that's the truth. Again, I'm glad I got it. Honestly, for the weight that I already lost, it made me get to a point where I'm no longer pre-diabetic and I'm healthier in a lot of ways. And some sizes down, not all the ones I want to be, but to make a difference.
Well, would you say something that's lacking is maybe this is why you think you need a support group and stuff? Is that
Probably.
the surgery doesn't deal with your relationship with food?
No, and that's the thing. That's a great point because when I went to the doctor to get the readjusted from the adjustment that was hurting me, he handed me a new sheet of paper because what I had started to do before that was start very popular weight loss program that begins with a W that a lot of friends it worked for. And I figured, let me start
Oh
this.
yeah.
I don't know, are we allowed to say it or then we get sued?
I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah,
Whatever.
I'm not Jennifer Hudson.
There was a lot of points.
There was a point to that.
There's a point to that.
And it was like this big success story to a lot of people I know. And I was like, instead of getting adjusted or to help me more, I'll start this too. And I went to him and I said, hey, I started this thing that's And he was like, that's the worst diet plan ever. Which was weird because I know people, personally, we know people that have lost a lot of weight and kept it off.
Yeah.
So he had a whole complaint about it's bad because it means you can eat anything and you shouldn't be able to eat anything. And then he handed me a new list compared to the old list that they handed me when I had surgery. He's like, we reevaluated our nutrition plan and here's the do's and the don'ts. And what you should really do is have 2 shakes a day and then dinner. And
Slim fast. What?
that's the thing that the gent brought up, and he and I have this thing, our relationship with food. Honestly, Dr. So-and-so, if I didn't have a relationship with food in any way, I wouldn't have been seeing you for surgery in the first place. There's something else that happens in my head about food and my ties to it that I just can't drink 2 shakes a day and be okay. So there has to be another plan for me to work with that's more realistic. And for him to sit there and say, never eat pizza again, I was like, really?
Yeah,
I don't eat it every day. I don't eat it every month. I don't eat it every 3 months. But every once in a while, there's going to be a
you're just
slice
like,
of pizza, and I want it.
you're just like,
I was like,
pizza, like for your
pizza.
birthday.
Like for my birthday, that's where the party's going to be, at a pizza place. So there. He's not invited. But it almost seemed like this unrealistic thing. Just don't eat carbs anymore ever. I was like, oh, okay. And I'd been doing very good being carb free and low carb. But then when I came around Christmas time this year,
Which a lot of people fall into.
I fell into it. I said all bets are off. I'm sick of this. And I ate everything that was handed to me at every party I went to, which was like a million parties. And I was like, sure, I'll have that. Thanks.
Okay. And you and I both have similar stories in that we wouldn't have gotten surgery if we didn't feel that there was nothing else we could do.
Yeah.
We were it was
because you've never not tried everything either.
Oh.
You've tried it. We've tried it all together.
We've tried it together, separate.
This boy has worked hard. Trust me. As long as we've known each other,
yes,
we've always been working at it.
Yes,
really.
And it was always that lifelong thing to do. And we came to a point within the last couple of years, it's just like we need to see a physical change to know it's working. And that goes with every human, and why we give up on diets so quickly and why diets don't work is that our human brain and our vision, when it's not working fast enough and we have no visual connection to that diet working, is when we'll give up. Mm-hmm. And the feelings of, I know with me and food sometimes it's that feeling, I can't stand the feeling. I've been dealing with this more as I like do fasts and do shakes and stuff, dealing and sitting there with the feeling of starvation and not letting it feel like lack or poverty,
like emptiness.
Or you're back at that place. You're back at that place where you couldn't afford food and stuff.
For me, that emptiness is just like loneliness. Because that's what I guess I always equated food with, was like feeling happy and full and happy.
Mm-hmm. Well, everything Rachel Ray says it. Like we eat when we're happy, we eat when we're sad. Yeah. We eat with people, we eat without people. And I know I've explained this before, that with my aunt a lot, secret eating was the greatest thing on the planet. We would go eat behind my uncle's back, hide the receipts, and just eat all these big meals at chain restaurants and stuff, and it would be our little secret.
Yeah, and don't tell, whoever you weren't supposed to tell.
And I associated that feeling of being wanted, that she wanted me to be part of her life because she let me in on that secret. And that's why like food can be my secret, and it can be something that belongs to me and I'm doing only, and nobody knows about it, and it could be something special to me. Yep. And but I still love that camaraderie of going out and sitting around a table with your friends with too much wine. And I'm loving more and more like tapas and big appetizers that everybody shares and stuff.
Me too. That's the other good thing about the lap band is you're more socially friendly with your food, because you really can't physically eat everything you have. It's financially good, because now I can share stuff like with my boyfriend. I'm like, let's share this because I can't eat it all. Or with friends. And I like that a lot of restaurants are doing mini food menus, so you can have little stuff around and make it more friendly sharing, not like, here's a giant plate, it's all for you. Because, there's that feeling of like, oh, I want to eat all of it.
Well, also,
I used to have that.
Yeah, when my friend Christine, back in the day, even when she'd eat to the point where she couldn't leave anything on her plate because she'd feel guilty. She'd feel guilty, and I'm not good with leftovers. And I know a lot of my friends aren't, so it's like, I don't want to throw it away. Because that would be bad, and that's like telling the universe, oh, I don't need money.
I know, I don't need this.
I'm just going to throw it in the garbage. I don't need food or anything. Yeah. Okay, so...
You're lighting your cigarettes with dollar bills.
So I know that ongoing, what I've been reared to think of with food, it plays the biggest factor. And that's why I've been really, after my surgery, I've been really focused on my relationship with food and what... eating this is telling my body and what my body's telling me, and it hasn't been the easiest thing, but I'm starting to iron it out, which I've never gotten to this point.
Do you have like an example of that?
Well, you know how I've been
share with the group.
Yeah, how I've been like testing myself with like gluten and dairy
Right.
and things like that, and I've been saying, well, I've been saying that and coffee and
That's a big for you.
yeah,
I know you're
and
a
I
big
gave
coffee
up.
lover.
So I knowing all that stuff about what causes inflammation in the body and what I really want out of my body. I started to just experiment. I take this food out and then put it back in and
That's a
see
good
how
way to
my
look
body
at it.
reacts and all that stuff. And I've always come to the decision that if you do some kind of percentage of the time, if you find a system that works and do it some kind of percentage of the time,
Yeah.
and don't worry about the other 30%, and don't worry, because I'll tell you,
Yeah.
before I get into my story about lipo, I will tell you, Tuesday night I was feeling trapped, like I couldn't go anywhere
You were at home?
because of work.
Okay.
And
Your
Pretty
job's
Little
been
Liars,
crazy
yeah,
this week.
Pretty Little Liars is coming on.
Oh, that's right, your show. You were home
And
Tuesday.
there was I didn't buy enough food in the house, and I didn't want to start my raw like shakes till Wednesday.
Right.
So because they're expensive, and I'm trying to meter it out so that it lasts me a while.
That
'cause
is
I
the
spend
frustrating
$100
thing
on
about
it.
like uber healthy of me eating vegetable and protein mostly. My food bill's crazy. Unfortunate but true.
And that can be daunting. So I called the evil empire Papa John's.
Oh boy.
And ate a whole
Did you put
thing.
that garlic dip in there?
I ate a whole thing of those 10-inch cheese sticks. And I dipped them in the cocaine garlic sauce and the marinara sauce. And I got blue cheese too. I got blue cheese too. And I'm digging it. I'm like,
oh. Jesus.
And
let it happen. Just go with it.
Yeah, and I go, this isn't guilt I'm feeling. I realized too much gluten and dairy, because the next day I was like, oh.
Were you like,
it wasn't
mega bloated?
It wasn't.
Just
it's
yucky?
that feeling. It's just lumped
Yeah.
there, and you're not. It's not flowing right through your system, so to speak. It's a struggle a little.
Did you make a tea for that? And we know about it.
No, I can't, because I had volleyball the next day.
Darn
so I couldn't.
it.
I was like, oh, curses! I'm stuck in more ways than one.
You have to be home for that situation.
So, all right. So here's something.
Yeah.
You probably will never know, and I kept it so secret forever. We reveal authentic
God.
sounds.
Okay, here's the thing. We do this live on the air. That's why.
Like pretty good. What was the last show I revealed the big secret?
When we talked about when you were young. Stuff.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
No plan after 18.
Yeah.
So my whole life, I think post-puberty.
Am I scared? Should I be scared?
No, it's just I'm uncomfortable talking about it, but I have to talk about it because I know other people go through it. I know other men go through it. Is that I finally came to the point. I mean, I had growths in my skin anyway that I had to get removed, but I had what they call gynecomastia. I had the man boobs that I could never get rid of.
Oh.
And I tried everything in my power to get rid of them, from the hormones to, working out like crazy, to dieting. That's why I would diet and all that stuff, and they would never go away. And it's part of why my self-esteem is so shaky. Mm-hmm. And it's part of why I'd never like to get intimate with guys and stuff like that, because it wasn't even about, it was easier to have the weight around me because it would hide it mostly.
I see what okay.
So it's why I would keep people at a distance, why I didn't like to be hugged and stuff like that.
You now. I'm hugging
you. Yeah, everybody thought I was having lipo in my stomach, but no, it was to get rid of my chest.
Shoot.
Yeah, and sadly enough, my plastic surgeon found like growths in there anyway.
Is that
because of a hormonal imbalance too.
That's what happens.
So
right?
he found growths anyway, so they had to get removed anyway. But yeah, and I wanted it, so that's why I was saying I needed the physical. Like nothing was working.
I got you. Yeah.
And I needed the physical, something physical to say that my body changed.
Yeah.
And that my body can change, because it wasn't. All the meditation in the world, meditation in the world, all the dieting in the world, all the push-ups in the world, since I was a kid, never got rid of it. And I needed something. And everything fell into place. I said I wanted it. And I said, if this is what the universe wants me to do, then I do it. Everything fell into place.
And you found a way to make it work financially for you too.
Mm-hmm.
That was for me, there was a financial issue. I have two very supportive parents that helped because there was a not covered by the health insurance my job has chosen for us issue. And then the good doctor made a deal with my good parents. And there he's like, I'll charge this much. And it all worked out because he's like a cool dude. And, you know, like, and that's the way it should be. The doctors, whoever should work with you because they see someone who's like, that's my job is to help. And I'm going to help you, you know. That's cool. And, like, you know, you found the way you needed to do it because there are certain physical things. And he was even saying to me when I first got evaluated, and I said, I tried, you know, and my parents were there and like, we tried so many years and she tried and it's hard. And he goes, there's just some certain physical reasons why some people just can't get there on their own or with all their stuff. So that's why these surgeries are in place. Stuff like you, stuff like me, stuff like other people have done. And you knew you had to do what you did to get to where you wanted to be.
Yeah, because I felt so, I knew... When I was living in Piscataway, when I was working from home and I could watch soaps all day.
Yes.
And before One Life to Live was off the air,
that's your favorite.
I kind of was enamored with this one actor, and I went to his website and it said he had gynecomastia.
Oh shoot!
And he was lucky enough to get surgery, and that's when it started rolling in my head. So I'm like, I want to be lucky enough to get surgery.
You're like, then that'll be the way to help it because like you tried everything else and it wasn't working.
Because even me and Lori went to this health expo in New York together, and they said this pill would help get rid of it and all that stuff, and it, you know, it wasn't working and all that stuff. So it was just, I just was finally tired, and I was never gonna get past anything if I didn't find a way to
have that be
to have the surgery.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's completely like last year was an eye opener. Especially this time last year, coming back to volleyball and then getting more attention.
And people I've always really telling you a lot.
And now like, people telling me now.
They're like, hey, good looking.
Yeah. So it's weird. It's still weird being that open to it. And Susan will probably explain it more. I have another session with her. I have to talk to her.
I can't wait till we get to talk with her and find out your book of secrets.
My book of secrets. My book of human design secrets.
Yeah, no, it sounds really cool. Definitely sounds like something I'd be interested in, too.
And it's just weird. You try to, if you want to do the intellectual, like, spiritual explanation of it, it's like, if we talk about weight as a wall keep people away from you.
That was one of the first things that was brought up to us when we started getting more into the spiritual, started taking this class, we were learning a lot. I was heavier than before, this was before surgery, and I think one of the women said it to me, and she said, that's a wall you put up so people get, because I was like, why can't I meet any guys and no one loves, and she was like, yeah, that's a wall you put up. You're doing it yourself. That's a physical, the fat, the weight was like a physical wall that you're putting up to keep people out. And it's like you don't even know that you did it and you did it. And that was like a big, you know, because you never want to take personal, this is before I was like very into personal responsibility. Yeah. Now it's like I'm all about it. And I get frustrated when people don't take it, that, you know, that's not fair, I guess.
Not everybody can,
yeah,
you know.
I know. But not everyone's as enlightened as us. So arrogant, right? I don't care. So I was like, help, it's the butt. And then you thought, I was like, oh, it is my fault. And then you like really
it's not your fault per se.
But yeah. But you're like, oh, I had a part to play in this.
Yeah,
you know?
we used to say that a lot. And that's where the verbiage gets tricky with this stuff.
It does.
And you never that it's our fault. But yeah, so thinking about like when we were talking about how I never had a dad, so that male figure in my life was never going to be important.
Right.
And I think I did everything subconscious, or my soul or something about me or my ego was just living in this body to make sure that never happened, because the opposite was true. People would try to get close to me no matter what I looked like. Guys would be interested. I would just blame that. I would just find an excuse.
I know the ones that dug you throughout the years.
I know. I would just find an excuse not to let them get close to me because I didn't want to.
Right.
You know, I couldn't deal with the way I looked and the way I felt about myself. It was a bad thing.
That's
It's a
well,
dark,
God,
dark
Jesus, thanks for sharing.
it was
And
a
I
crazy
mean to
thing.
honestly, like, give you credit, honestly, just to me to you, but then in front of all these people, it takes a lot to open up and say that stuff. You know, this has definitely been the season of honesty
Well,
and
it's the
emotion.
authentic. We're doing authentic April. We
If,
have to.
if we're
This is
talking
our
about
voice.
this is our voice in our year to evolve even more. I don't think evolution ever went smooth for anything, and there's always a lot of like pain and not pain, but there's like growing pains and emotion. So it's like to open up and like rip through some part of you and be honest about it and be like, hey, this is what's going on. That's all part of it. So it's all part of like evolving and is being honest.
Finding our voice and our message. If our message is anything, is we know about what it's like to not like yourself in the mirror. I think if there's any running theme in our lives, we can look in the mirror and not like the person looking back at us, no matter how hard we try.
In the day, and even however the day is, and it's just the truth, and that's what we're both really working on. And one of the reasons I think that we started this show is to have a like more positive view of ourselves and put ourselves out there. And be like, hey, we're worth listening to, and just we're worth, being entertaining, and
we have a story worth sharing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because some people can't sit up and vocalize. We thankfully enough can vocalize it eventually.
We
or
have
put
those
it in
skills
some
in spades,
form of expression. But there could be people listening who would never be able to talk about this. But there's at least us being able to talk about it.
And we definitely hope we're two people that can help in that way. We're two people that could help give a voice or help someone else find their own voice in that situation.
Because I'll be honest too, since we're doing that, and since we're doing Authentic April coming up with other hosts from Authentic You.
Yeah, we'll be meeting some of our Authentic You with, well, you guys will be meeting them through us if you don't know them already, or you're fans and you want to check them out on our show, that'd be great.
Yeah, you can get readings and stuff like that. It's going to be great.
We're having some fellow radio host guests with us coming up in April.
But I always, and I'll probably bring this up, I'll bring this up with them too, is like sometimes I listen to callers, and sometimes I'll be like, sometimes all this can make you such a victim of your circumstance, because like when Doreen Virtue said to that person, like she was trying to rationalize it like we do. We try to say, oh, well, what is the universe trying to tell us? And why are we going through this? Because did we do this and did we do that? And having those, trying to have those intellectual explanations to really emotional problems when we should just deal with the emotion at hand.
Never be afraid to have your emotion and realize it. And the more you realize it, I think it even is the healthier.
And it's just, I feel so, I sometimes when I listen, I feel like when people call in, sometimes it's like they're asking questions they've been asking themselves for so long, and people have been telling them so many things. It's like it gets back to that thing about getting paralyzed by it, and paralyzed by the explanation, and paralyzed about, I'm not doing this right. Did I really attract this? And blah 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 blah. And I've
been caught up in that spiral a lot of times.
And that spiral is even more, it can even cause more problems because you're beating yourself up. Yeah. And
you're constantly blaming yourself for everything that's happened.
And especially when Janet is on the show, the astrologer, and I'm gonna actually go in about the us. That's the show at 7 Eastern before us, and sometimes I'm just like, well, Mercury's in retrograde, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, things still need to get done in the physical. And sometimes it's just like, I did really well for 2 years, not letting that have any power over me. Right. But once sadly enough, once I got back into once I got into this show and all the other hosts, and now it's like in the back of my head all the time.
I remember when it was in the back of your head to begin with. Because
in
Mercury's in retrograde. If college was a wacky sitcom, that would have been your catchphrase. And there would have been Mercury's in retrograde t-shirts with on it. What would mine would have been? Did I have a catchphrase?
You were always no. You were.
Uh-oh.
I don't know what your catchphrase would be, but you were always conflicted by your Libra rising. Or
About,
something,
like,
or something.
boys?
Something was always, something was always going on.
Yeah.
Would you like, oh,
some guy was always making me annoyed.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
With your Venusian ways.
I was conflicted. Conflicted Allison.
Yeah.
Conflicted in Ramapo.
Oh, that would be our sitcom.
It would have been hilarious. Now watching it, back then it would have been. Back then it was not funny. Now it's hilarious what we were like in our 20s.
But
we was a mess, but that was good because it had to happen because we had to evolve to this point through what we went through and what we learned from it. Mm-hmm. And that's what we want to share with everybody.
Yeah. So,
really, I know. Again,
another honest hour
of straight jibber jabber, just
real
us.
talk.
Nobody called in. That's fine. We can hold it down.
I know.
We're good. Give us two more.
Guests.
Just let me play a few songs in the middle and we could do a 3-hour show. Because I used to do that. Get a band in here. We'll do a live band sometime.
Yeah.
That'd
but,
be cool.
You know, like, I do still have those feelings like I'm one... Like Miss Wendy says, sometimes I'm one cheeseburger away from a disaster, but I don't...
We joke about that, you and I. You know, because it's
more
still
jokes
in my head.
now.
It is, and I know... Again, I've changed how I eat and a lot of the stuff I eat because of surgery. Mm-hmm. And I have that joke with you too, but I have changed the way I look at food and I know more of what certain foods do to me. Mm-hmm. And there's stuff that I've cut out that I don't eat anymore. I don't miss as much as I used to mm-hmm. because it just didn't make sense in my like consumption mm-hmm. anymore. So one of some things that I thought I'd never be able to do without, I've surprisingly been fine without them.
Yeah.
You know, so it can happen. You can do it.
I think the takeaway is that I'm gonna walk my talk, and it's part of Cheryl Richardson's The Art of Extreme Self-Care. Her first lesson in it is learn to look at yourself in the mirror and say I love you. Let the first thought when your reflection comes back to you mm-hmm. is to at least say I love you to yourself. And if it's the ending the hashtag body brutality thing,
yeah,
that's like the first lesson in it. Let it be.
Say that you love yourself.
I love you. I love you.
I love you. We love you guys.
Yeah, get to a point where you feel comfortable with it is what she says.
That's good.
So, anyway, we love you for listening.
Yeah, thank you for your support. Next week we're going to be off. There's going to be some
reruns. We're going to go back to Soul Behind the Snark.
We've done this long enough to have reruns. It's so exciting. And then we'll come back. You'll see all our updates of our...
We have 5 weeks of guests. Our 5 weeks.
Authentic guests. Mm-hmm. The 2 hardest working, fabulous people in the internet show business. That's us. Thank you guys so much.
All right. Cue the music, Michelle, and thank you.
Have a great weekend.